Welcome to the setup guide for the MUNKEBO vacuum systems. In this video, we will show the basics for understanding what is required to set up the MUNKEBO system. Before starting, make sure the equipment is placed on firm and level ground. Preferably, place the silo as close to a recovery site as possible. Preparing the vacuum system for operation, connecting the hoses. Start by connecting the recovery hose to the silo inlet. Do this before the legs are mounted on the silo. The recovery hose connection is an internal connection. Follow the steps for correct connection. Disassemble the flange and gasket on the silo inlet. Measure the distance from the inlet opening to the stop ring inside the inlet. Mark the distance on the recovery hose and slide gasket and flange to the marked point on the hose. Insert hose until it meets the stop ring. Move the flange back in place and tighten the mounting nuts. Have your equipment placed so it's possible to keep the connection hoses in as straight a line as possible from vacuum unit inlet to the silo outlet. It's recommended to slide the hose clamp onto the hose before sliding the hose on the outlet. Once the hose is attached to the outlet, tighten the hose clamp to secure the hose from falling off. For extra security, some customers prefer to add a security wire to keep the hose in place. After hoses are connected to the silo, legs can now be mounted on the silo. Lift the silo. Bolt the legs on. If a pre-separator cyclone is used, connect the connection hose from the silo to the inlet of the cyclone. Use the same procedure as done on the silo inlet. Gasket and flange bolted off the inlet and slide them over the hose. Insert hose onto inlet until it can't go further. Bolt flange back onto the cyclone. Attach the connection hose between pre-separator cyclone outlet and the vacuum unit inlet. Slide the connection hose onto the outlet on top of the cyclone and tighten the hose with a hose clamp. The cyclone can now be adjusted to the desired height needed. Take the splits out, holding the legs. Lift the cyclone slowly. When desired height is reached, insert the splits again. If a pre-separator cyclone is not used, connect the connection hose from the silo outlet directly to the vacuum unit inlet. Similar to the inlet on both silo and cyclone, the hose connection is internal. Use same procedure to connect inlet hose. Push the hose into the inlet until it can't go any further. Bolt on the flange, and all hoses are now connected. Preparing the vacuum system for operation. Power and air. Before power is connected, make sure the main breaker handle is set to off. Power and air can now be connected. When power is connected, the white lamp marked power on the control panel should now be lit. Now, connect air to the air receiver. Check the pressure gauge when connected. The gauge on the air receiver should now show 5 bar pressure. Check all butterfly valves to ensure all are closed before operation. Failure to close butterfly valves before operating will cause severe damage to the units. If the valve on the vacuum unit is open, the butterfly valve button on the control panel will flash as a safety precaution to protect the vacuum unit. Do a last check on the unit. Are the hoses connected? Is the motor compartment properly closed? Is the lid on the filter box closed and secured? Operating the system. Startup. Switch the main breaker handle to on and push the white start button. The green lamp marked on will light green. Test the system on full vacuum before operating to ensure setup is done correctly. Operating the system. Shutdown. When a job is done, press the black button marked Stop. The green on lamp will now start to flash to indicate the after cleaning sequence is on. After cleaning approximately lasts 10 minutes. Do not use the emergency button to stop the unit. Accessories and extras. Roll the recovery hose out as straight as possible. Attach the suction nozzle to the recovery hose by sliding the hose clamp over the hose and then pushing the nozzle into the hose. Follow instructions in manual for adjusting airflow in suction nozzle. Connecting a manifold to divide hoses. When a manifold is required, attach it as close as possible to the recovery site to keep the recovery hose as long as possible before splitting into smaller hoses. This video outlines the setup, start, and shutdown of the MUNKEBO vacuum system. This video is not a replacement for reading the MUNKEBO operations manual. The manual can be found in the electrical cabinet of all new systems. Should you have questions not being answered in the manual, please contact your Klemco dealer.